5, 4, 3,
Count it down, you silly goose.
1. What's going on, guys? Peer review. We're back. Today we got Matt with us, and
Matt's an aeronautical engineer.
I am.
a what?
An aeronautical engineer. It's fun to say. So in layman's
you
terms,
say
he's a frickin' genius.
How do I say it? There's aerospace engineer, aeronautical engineer. That's just like, who wants to be a nitpicky dick about it?
Oh.
Hello.
Hello. Well, that's cool. What are you doing there? Like, what's their role?
So I work for a company that does drones and agriculture. So technically it's precision agriculture or remote sensing for the real like nerdy people who are into it.
Mm-hmm.
I work on a fixed wing platform, which really just means like a tiny airplane.
Yep.
I would just play with foam airplanes all day. No, but I'm the lead engineer on that product, and so it's like
Nice.
I didn't actually design the plane. That happened just before I came to work for the company. But nowadays I pretty much do all the forward development on that plane.
How'd you land yourself that one?
This is a real weird story.
Oh, boy.
Accidentally. If you would have told me this is what I'd be doing out of college, I would have laughed and said no way. But what ended up happening was I accidentally took a class my freshman year of college at the U. They give these like what they call freshman seminars, and they're like these 1 or 2 credit classes, and you meet like once a week. And I thought the first one I was taking was like a UAV class because I was like, I want to build a plane, that'd be cool. Turns out was a class about high-powered rockets. And like there's kind of 2 camps in the aerospace world. There's airplane people and there's rocket people. And so I've like always been an airplane person, not a rocket one. So at first I was like, I think I might just drop this class. Like I'm not that into it. And then I was like, fuck it, I'll stick it out. And so I stay with that. And then they're like, well, the one that you want is actually next semester. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll just take that one again. Take that class. And that one is taught by the guy who was the director of the UAV lab at the U of M. And so they do UAV research, which can be like a few things. Like essentially one of the big projects there was called optimal control allocation. And that was essentially how do I use the control surfaces that I have in the best way possible. And sometimes that's just not what like standard airplanes are using.
Right.
Or if you lose a surface, how do you safely navigate with just the one autonomously? Because if you have a real pilot, they can figure that out. But, an autopilot only tells the plane to do what you told it to do.
Got it.
So anyways, I start working there, and I get this like really rickety team, if I will, because you don't have to be an aerospace major to take these classes. And so I get this team, and I was like, okay, I don't want to just like fully design this myself, so I'll kind of let them help. And they really only helped for a bit, and they really only helped design this fuselage. So I end up with this like boat of a fuselage. It is the least aerodynamic thing. It might as well have just been a bathtub or a cinder block.
Oh, boy.
And so I was like, shit, like this is not going to go well. So I end up doing the rest of the project essentially myself.
Yep.
And we do all of this, and it does enough to impress this teacher. And I was kind of like, hey, if you need a TA or someone to do this next time. And he says, well, I could use a researcher in my lab. You want to come like do that? Like you don't get paid anything, but like you should do it. So I was like, okay, cool. So start doing that the summer after my freshman year. Worked there for a while, did a few projects. And so then I was like, okay, it was coming out at the end of my junior year. And I was like, I think I want to get like an industry internship, see what that's all about. So I was going to apply at BAE, which is an aerospace company they were out of Fridley, that they still might be out of, well, they're not, they're like worldwide, right? But they have an office in Fridley. Tried to get in there, didn't go well. I turned in the same cover letter for 2 different applications, and that's not good. HR looks at that and they're like, this guy's a doof, get him out of here. Long story, actually funny story about that. My now girlfriend's dad used to be in charge of that department. Not the HR department, but he was like their top engineer.
Really?
And it was just like a total coincidence. And my girlfriend's like, I'm glad you didn't work for him. That would have been weird. And I was like, yeah. So anyways, I was like telling my bosses at the time at the research lab, and they were like, oh, like you don't want to work there anyways. And I was like, what? And they're just like, no, you want to, like, we know this other guy, like we'll introduce him to you. So one day I just get this random email, and it's from my advisor. So like, hey, we're going to introduce you to this dude who is now my current boss. Spoilers. Anyways, so then he was just like, I sent him my resume, and he's just like, one day I just get this random phone call at like 7:00 at night, and he's like, hey, do you have time to do a phone interview? I was like, sure, when? He's like, well, can you do it now? And I was like, I guess so. Like, we're going to do this.
Right.
So I spend like hour or so on the phone with him having this phone interview. He's like, all right, cool. Like, I think I want to set up an in-person interview. And I have been there since.
Nice.
Cool.
So it was like totally by accident. Didn't mean to. Like all of it, just like I kind of stumbled into, and because I took the wrong class.
You took the wrong class.
I took the wrong class.
But at the same time,
It
you
was
also
the right class.
Right, it was the right class. But you also took the time to do that. Help your professor with the research and like taking that step and learning more. So, you never know. One door leads to another. There you are. And
Yeah.
like also too, not getting that job in the first place.
Right.
The first job too. So that's cool.
And that worked out twice.
Right.
2 times.
Dude.
Sent the same cover letter.
Hey man, I mean you don't know until you try. So, but do you think you'll be there where you're working now, for most of your time?
It's hard to say in aerospace, especially because the company I work for now, we started as a tech startup. So when I started working there were maybe 25 employees. And a bunch of them are like ex-Lockheed guys. When they shut down their office in Egan, they got a choice. They were like, do you want to move to New York or not work here anymore? And a lot of them were like, we're not moving to New York. We're going to stay here.
Right.
So they started their own company because they were able to take a bunch of the technology they had developed there. And they're like, we can do this, but instead of military application, we can look at corn.
Oh.
So yeah, we did that. We've grown a whole bunch. I think we're like 80 people now. So in the usual aerospace world where it's all defense contracting, it can be like, if it's a good cycle or dependent on the like political administration, it can be up or down in that. And so you may stay at the same company your whole career. You may not. In this case, I mean, I don't have any intent on going anywhere anytime soon. And I don't think we're coming into our second round of like investment funding on it.
Nice.
So I'm sure I'll be there for at least 2 more years.
That's good.
Sweet.
Could you say like, if you had the pieces that you need, could you just start building your own drones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm gonna need to build some drones.
Yeah.
Do you do anything with like the racing drones at all? Have you messed
I
with those?
haven't, but they're all quadcopters.
Yeah.
The real art of that is like maximizing your weight for power output. I mean, it's like a race car, same idea, right?
Yeah.
Is doing that. And the other real big thing for those guys is how fast their like live video is feeding back to them. They're all about minimizing the latency on that. So they'll invest heavily in their FPV gear. So yeah, I had an intern last year who was really into this stuff, and it's super cool. I mean, like we did a bunch of like in-flight footage of the plane that I work on. And I mean, we have like all these other, like, we have like an Inspire 2, which is what, a lot of Hollywood will use for their like drone shots, or like Phantom Force and all that. They're not fast enough to keep up. That plane's flying at 35 miles an hour.
There's no way.
And so like in an Inspire 2, I mean, you can get, I think their max speed is like 60 some miles an hour or something like that. But it's just like, by the time you catch it, but you get these little racing drones and those things are just whipping around up there.
Right.
I mean, they just beat the shit out of the air. So they do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
And so we strapped a GoPro Hero 8 on the back, got that hyper smooth.
Yep.
boy.
It looked great. Video was just awesome.
Yep.
So
So I've been doing some video for this company at ERX, and we go to the races for Champ Off Road. Their series is all off road racing trucks and whatever. And this year, one of the guys that they had out there doing like their live feed. Usually the live feed was a TV team or a newscast team will come out and do live feed for TV and whatever. But this year they had a pilot, come out and fly his drone.
nice.
And he had that drone that it could just kick, dude, all around the truck. I mean, the truck would hit a jump and it'd be doing circles around the truck as it was like in the air. And I'm like, what is happening, dude? And ever since I've seen that, and like you're saying, like they need that feedbacks really quick, because I don't know the speeds on that, but they have to be up there because
I think they say like
racing with a truck.
I think
and not get run over.
4 milliseconds is really good in that world or something like that. I mean, that's what's crazy for video transmission.
Yeah, that's insane. Like, yeah, and they slapped their GoPros, his Hero 8 on there, and then he's like, he's got these giant goggles on, and he's just over those giant controllers.
It's crazy to watch. I mean, you watch that drone whip around, and it's just some dude just sitting there, just like,
Yep.
It's like, it's unreal. I don't know how they do it. Like,
Have you flown one?
not like that.
No?
No. Everything I
want
fly, do I want? Maybe.
I mean,
Doing it every day kind of kills the hobby.
Right.
So right after I graduated, I was like, I'm going to learn how to fly fixed wing. It'd be useful for the job. Buy like this kit plane. I build the fuselage, or like the structure of the whole thing.
Yep.
And then I was like, I'll buy the propulsion and the batteries later and all that stuff. Still sitting in the same spot. Since just haven't touched it.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Man, I want to fly one so bad. Like I want to get my hands on one. I want to do a build like that, and just seeing that in action. And he now is. I mean, he's ranked number 1 in the nation or something like that for drone flying, and does all these competitions. And recently, he's been doing some movie shoots. Like
Sure.
they'll do the bigger drones. I mean, I'm sure you could probably build the big drones too that hold the bigger cameras and stuff.
Yeah, like the popular one's a DJI M600.
Yep.
They slap a Ronin gimbal on the bottom of that with a big old DSLR.
Yeah,
you get like
dude.
10 minutes of flight time, and
And you gotta kill it. And he showed me some footage that he had done. He's like, just did this really cool shoot for a commercial for Ducati. I was like, dude, let's see it.
What?
So he's like, we slapped a new red Komodo on there, and he starts the video starts out and it's shooting up this building, and it looks like it's coming like out of Spider-Man or something. You know, it glides down the side of the glass, tower, and then it splits. There's like a highway, and in between the highway, there's an underground road, obviously, and it turns the drone sideways. He goes in there and cuts in between traffic, and as he's cutting traffic, the Ducati motorcycle is
Nice.
They timed it perfect, and he's weaving out of traffic. I'm like, dude, this looks like the Dark Knight movie. And
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, the director that's doing this, it was the same guy. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, this is insane.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so now ever since I saw that, and then the off-road racing, like just what they can do, man, like gotta get my hands on one.
Yeah, man, I can bring some. I can grab some from work one week, and we can get together. We can fly some drones.
I think we should definitely do that.
Hell
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. We'll do it. We'll do it.
We'll do drones and turbo mowers.
I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in.
You could probably like whip donuts and have that drone just with you the whole time.
I want to
doing the donuts.
I want to do a video with a drone on the mower where it looks like it's like a video game. Like you're
sure.
like it's somebody
Oh,
driving
yep.
like that'd be sick.
Like when you're playing like Grand Theft Auto or something, it's just that
Yeah.
personal view the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do like a concept like you could do like a player versus player, I guess, with like 2 drones, 2 mowers.
Yep.
Just some wacky looking video, but then like it's like fed back to 2 kids like playing a video game. That'd be sweet.
That'd be a good.
I love that. That's a cool idea.
A video concept. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a 4-minute video. That'd be cool.
We should do it.
You could do that with anything though. 'Cause
Yeah.
it wouldn't have to just be a mower. You could do it with any vehicle. You could go like eventually once like if it was lucrative, you could start like taking like Lambos out, doing that with like crazy cars.
You could do like the GTA like real life version or something. You can go from like vehicle to your bike to you just set up all the props that you want to use in a certain location and have it down to a time, and
That'd be sick.
that'd be cool.
We're doing that.
Yeah.
We're doing that.
Doing it.
If we use his drones, we'll have to be in a cornfield though.
Yeah. Cornfields only.
Yeah, they actually only work over corn.
Right. I'll just attach a corn stalk to my back and we'll run around.
We can share the collateral from that one. Yeah.
Multiple corn stalks.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I had a question. So, you are in a band, correct?
I am.
What's the name of the band?
I hate the name of the band.
Is that the name?
Yeah, that's it. If I could rename it, it would either be "Oh No, Dad's Drunk Again" or "Whole Lot of Hoopla." My bandmates probably don't agree, but
Hoopla. I like the last one.
yeah.
A whole lot of hoopla.
But we're actually called New View. I don't know. It was. You guys both know my bandmates, or at least you know both of them. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
Kyle. Yeah. We started jamming together in like 2012. We've done a few things here and there. We all moved to the cities. We played a whole bunch of shows. And now we all live together. That's been an adventure.
You guys all live together too.
Yeah, we all live together.
You guys are doing it
Reality
right.
show.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think living together we'd get a lot more done, which is so we were like, oh, we'll be able to just crank out music. It'll be so easy. We got a
Right.
studio in the basement and all this stuff. Yeah, no, it's too painfully convenient now. It's like, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do
Yep.
it later. We'll do it after this. But
So how has that been like during all of this? Like
Slow and terrible.
Yeah.
you mentioned you were doing Zoom setups with the band. Is that what you said?
Kinda. I mean, so there are now like places that are like venues are converting a lot into now we're going to be like a live stream space, and so they've either invested in the gear or they're trying to invest in the gear or they're using what they have to do a lot of this stuff. And there are some venues that are really like pumping it out in a super efficient way. Like there's one, the Garage down in Burnsville. They're run by a nonprofit called Catalyst Music, and with all the grants they were able to secure doing this, they can now do, I don't know what the pricing is, but it's like pricing that a local band could afford to do these like 1 hour lives, or maybe it's not 1 hour, but they're doing these live stream concerts. You get all the recordings when you're done.
Yep.
Totally affordable. And so it's like, it's moving a lot to that. I don't know, at least for us, like I'm in the back the whole time. So crowd or no crowd, I don't notice any different playing drums, but definitely for the two guys up front, they're just like, you can feel the difference between what they're doing on stage when there is a row of people in front of them and when there's not.
Right.
Everyone feels a little differently about live streams. I'm not super keen on it, but it's like definitely, I mean, we'll probably do one. We've been working on an EP for 2-ish years, and it's just because we're painfully lazy. Like we 2018 or 2019, we had like 40 some hours in the studio, recorded a bunch of it, and then ran out of studio time, and we had most of it done. We're like, well, everything we need to finish, we could finish at home.
Yep.
And we just haven't finished it yet. So I was working on it this morning.
There you go.
Good times.
Are you excited for this new EP then?
I am. I mean, every musician ever is always like, this is
Right.
the best stuff we've ever recorded. But
Yep.
like, we diverge a little bit every time we write. So the first EP we ever put out was, well, that's not true. The first one we ever put out, we were in high school, and it was just this terrible piece of garbage. You know, as expected, everyone's got to have their bad one.
Yes.
Second one we put out, it was early on when I was in college, so that would have been like 2016. We released it. We played a show, and we opened up for Hawthorne Heights for all you emo nerds from way back when. We played with them. We released it that day, so I think that was 2016, and that one was all right. Like we kind
Was
of
that
learned
your first show?
our first show ever.
Yeah.
No, that would have been way deep. Our first show ever in that we played at, if it maybe even exists. You guys remember the Mystic Inn?
Yeah, way out in
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, way in the middle of nowhere. You were at that show,
I
weren't
was
you?
at that show, yeah.
Yeah, that show was,
loyal fans.
dude, so many people came to this little like podunk bar in the middle of nowhere, and it's like I have to imagine the bar owners are like, why are there so many teenagers in my bar? Like, what's going on?
Nobody can drink. They're like, what the We're out of Coke.
Can we get another soda?
So we played at this tiny bar, and it actually goes pretty well until the very end. We call it quits, and everyone's like, one more song, and we're like, shit, we are literally out of songs. Like, what are we gonna do? So then we kind of had been like playing Walk by Foo Fighters, which at the time was like maybe a year old.
Yep.
And we could kind of get through it, but like we definitely were not prepared for it. And it was just, it fell flat. It was bad. I was like, oh, this is it. This is the end. Like I'm hanging it up, selling my drums. Like, fuck it.
Yep. Oh. Did you guys just quit?
No, we kept going,
you
unfortunately. No, we played another show later that year, I think, which is at Bud's Place, which was just down the road from where my parents lived. And like that guy, we had played, I mean, a different rendition of the band had played there like way, way before. Like I don't even think I could drive back then. And we played there, and it was like a Thanksgiving show maybe, or like around kind of that time. And like 300 people came out to this thing. Like we weren't even supposed to get paid for the show. And I was playing in another band too called Roger Roger with like some of our siblings, like friends at the time, or at least my brother-in-law wasn't at the time, but we played in that band. They played there. His other band played there. We played there, and it was just like packed. And the guy called me the next day, and he's just like, "Hey man, like I made so much money last night that like I need you to come back. I have to give you something." And the guy like walked in and he hands me $300, and I was like, 16-year-olds, 16
Sweet.
or 15, 16. I was like, yes, money, band money.
That's cool.
That's cool.
When did you guys start, or like when did you first start in like music?
I think I started playing. I mean, it did like the whole piano lesson thing when I was like second grade started. So what's that? Like 7, 8 years old,
Yeah,
something like
something
that.
You're young, yeah.
Yeah. Started playing then, and then I'd always wanted to play guitar a whole bunch, and like finally my parents like got me one, and it was just like this little like classical acoustic guitar, and I kind of, there were no teachers around where we lived and like grew up, and so then it was just like teach yourself, and on and off I would like pick it up, put it down. And then around the time I got to middle school is when I was like, oh, I'm going to be in band, like let's play percussion, because I had the piano background, which they like force you to have. And then one of my friends, Thomas Klopaki was playing drum set one day and watching him, and I was like, man, that's really fucking cool. I want to do that. Like, how do I? And I was like, I'm pretty jealous. Like, that's sweet. How the fuck do I do that? Right. So then like started taking like lessons, like learned how to do that. After a few years, like didn't have time for lessons anymore, but like kept playing. Yeah. And then just ever since then.
Dude, has there ever been like an instrument that you didn't know how to play and you wish you could know, or like?
Oh hell yeah, saxophone. If I could play a saxophone, they're dirty.
I love it.
Have you ever heard of Moon Hooch?
What?
Moon Hooch?
Moon Hooch, no.
Oh my goodness. They are this band that started in like the New York subway system, and it's just...
They're starting a subway system?
Yeah. It's 2 saxophones and a drummer, and they were downtown...
and a construction cone.
Construction cone. But they were playing at the Turf Club. Insane. Me and my roommate went down, and we were like, we don't know what this is, but there was just a band playing. So we were like, all right. We get in there. Coolest thing on the planet. Like, it's so good, but it's like, just what the hell is happening? And they're like, it's a saxophone battle on stage between the two of them. Yeah.
Are we allowed to address what happens off camera?
But yeah.
Do you have a name in the terms of this, or are you just like the hidden ghost?
I'm the name in the background.
Yeah. Okay.
I've done a podcast.
Bemis, yeah.
I see. I'm 2 episodes behind, guys.
It's okay.
No, you're good.
You can catch up eventually.
If you could ever go and open for a band like on tour, who would that be?
So old renditions, I would have definitely said like it's Blink, 100% Blink. Like,
yeah,
that's what got us into like we're a pop punk band. Like that's where it got us. Nowadays though, Motion City Soundtrack.
Yep.
So they're a Minnesota-based like band. Their big thing was Everything Is All Right. I mean, it was, what is it? I don't know. Most people when I talk about this, they're like, oh yeah, that song from what are the baseball games called? MLB or no, the like 2K or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was like they were in one of those, and like that's where most people like seem to know them from, which is super weird, but definitely those guys. I have like like just constantly growing love for them. They are just like they're a band that was just my opinion. I was like they should have been huge, and they just aren't. And it hurts, and they're like constantly back and forth between indefinite hiatuses now. They were back. They toured right before I was supposed to see them in February, and that didn't end up happening. I mean, they played the show. I couldn't go, so I had to sell my tickets. But
that's too bad.
Is there? Just wanted a quick question before we have to take a break here. Is there any way for us or anyone watching to support you in the band, and how would they do it?
Yeah, I mean, we're on every streaming service. It just all goes up. I mean, so you're Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all of that. We'll take our millionth of a penny for every play or whatever it is. It's something crazy like that. Like, wow. We use a service to distribute everything, and everyone, like, once you hit some threshold, then they'll pay out to your bank accounts.
Nice.
And we're still working on paying back. Well, what is there? So it goes to Kyle's bank account. Kyle paid out of pocket to put our first EP that we released that way. We're still paying him back for that one through royalties. So
there you go.
And that was 2016. So we're 4 years later. I think we've made like a whopping $20.
I remember finding you on Sonos when
Sonos?
I was working.
What?
Yeah. I was working at the feed mill, and I was like just digging around in the app because that's what they had for like the store. And I was like, no shit, there's fucking New View. It was cool. I was like, what the fuck? They must be really famous, but I didn't know about it.
Yeah, it aggregates everywhere. I mean, like we put our first EP out on YouTube too, and then like YouTube obviously has like their like crazy and insane way to just like scrape everything you upload, and they're like, oh, like the copyright claim, like the company that we use to distribute, they're like they put up the copyright claim, and then that just funnels back from our YouTube to our to that distributor, and all of that way. We've got one music video out there that we shot, I think, again, must have been 2016.
4 years ago.
Yeah. I'm sure the guy who shot that, he's like a very notable Instagram photographer now, and if I was like, hey, this is his video, he'd probably be like, dude, don't tell people that I did that.
So funny. I literally just looked at that video like 2 nights ago, and I was like, who shot this?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I looked at the name, I'm like, I want to check this guy out. I just want to see like, who did this? And it goes to like his photography page, and I'm like, this guy?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And then Yeah, he's got like photos, wedding videos, music videos, and like he had 2 more music videos on his like page, and I was like, "Where's the third one, bro? Where's this one 4 years ago?"
Yeah. It was actually funny. Yeah, he recently started getting back into music videos, and he's like, "Hey, will you send me that link to that one I shot?" And he just sent back. He was just like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah,
Yeah. No, he's got like, I mean, and I knew him. I knew his Instagram was like getting really big, and like the last time I looked at it was like maybe 20,000 followers. 220,000 nowadays, and I was like, Jesus, dude, like, how did you do that? What happened? He just grinds. Awesome dude, though.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we gotta bring up your race here soon.
Yeah.
should we do it?
You had a chance to sit down at the sim racing rig.
I more than one chance.
More than one chance, yes.
Can I pull back the curtain on that one? Yeah. It was heavily coached.
Heavily coached. But that's okay. Not everybody can like sit down and just do that. I feel like the fact that you don't get the physics like of actually sitting and like feeling it, it's kind of more difficult. Like it's just
The wheel feels super real though. Like that. Like that was really cool.
Yeah, it's a good setup. Just for a budget setup too. I made a video on that. It's a budget setup. It's on a budget. All right, so we're gonna go through your race and
Let's do it.
talk about it. Off to a good start.
I was hoping you were gonna say that.
Did you make this corner though on the?
He did, yeah. So
Got it.
all of his practice laps were so, but then this one he just seemed to pull it out of nowhere, and you're
Good.
My expert coach.
majestic.
Yeah. The shadow voice in the background.
This is what
The
you're
shadow
supposed to do.
He's whispering in my ear, just sweet little tips. It's like some ASMR kind of thing.
Put your big toe on the brake pedal.
Gently tap it. Softly.
Oh, you're doing good.
It's good to see you actually using full throttle too, because like this bar down here tells me what you're doing with the throttle. So
Oh.
that's why you were like half throttle, and I'm like, go flat out. I could
just
tell
hit it.
you weren't. You know, like,
Just send it,
gingerly
bro.
Send it. You can't hurt anybody. I haven't yet seen a pedestrian on this game, so I think it's okay.
I was really just trying to watch out for those barrels, man. They got families.
They got families.
They have little cones they got to get home to.
My gosh.
little cones. So up until this point, I don't think you had passed.
No, I hadn't. I had not. I
passed
didn't
the
even
car.
get. I got close. One of the failed recording attempt.
Yeah.
I believe my instruction was just hit the car.
Just hit the car. Yeah, that's actually my new favorite thing. Now that I know that it works, you are the guinea pig on, hey man, ram that guy.
Yeah. I think when I did mine, they came down to the last lap and I was not doing good on time, and Jeremy was like, just hit him.
Just
Just send
yeah,
it. Just,
and you actually do it with some finesse, other than, you know, I mean, you might have been pushing him off the track, but
I
nobody
think
knows.
right there. I think that's how I got around the corner is I was going in there. I think I was hitting him.
Classic wall ride scenario, but you used him as the wall.
yes.
Yes.
I'm learning new things here.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do. If you're not first, you're last.
If you're not first, you're last.
In this instance,
And
that's true.
even with the contact, you still pull out a really good lap, like a competitive lap at that. Like,
This was all just like I'm icing on the cake here. I was just happy. I was like,
Yeah.
we're riding through, we're doing it. I'm in front of this guy. Like I could have pulled in a 120 and been okay with it.
you got a 1:11.4, and that is the slowest time as of yet. But I don't think it'll be the slowest time overall.
Yes. We're gonna do like out of every 10 people,
All right.
do a giveaway, but and so you have 6 more people to go down.
Yes.
So
You are in the top tier. Technically, you're 4th place right now, and that's really good.
I'm feeling good about it.
1-4. If I could learn how to write faster, that'd be a blessing.
In my defense, there's a ringer at the top.
mm-hmm.
2 ringers.
That's true, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Bemis a ringer. He gets to live with the
Yeah.
machine. So feel free. You
I
get
get
to
to put
place
my-
you get to
Oh,
place yourself.
yes.
This is one of the best parts. Yes.
Hold on.
Okay. At the bottom.
Go straight for the bottom. All right.
Beautiful.
Oh, Matt S. Are we anticipating another Matt?
No, I just wanted to do that.
Okay.
Matt's.
That's your name
That's-
in my phone.
Oh, I
so
see.
That's
That
why.
was like when do you remember back in the day before we all had cell phones and it's like you had all your friends like numbers memorized and if you wanted them like to come hang out, you'd have to like call them.
Mm-hmm.
So that like, Matt's a pretty common name. There's a lot of them. And so people would call my house and be like, is Matt S there? as if just be like, are you anticipating another Matt in the same household that has a different last name? Takeaway here is just kids are fucking stupid, but
Isn't that crazy though? Like we didn't have cell phones at like.
We were the
Yeah.
last ones.
Yeah, we were the last generation
Oh,
to
I
kind
hadn't
of
thought of
come
that.
through to be like not exposed to the tablets and our computers and the phones being like high speed and really working. I remember the first computer I sat at was just a
One
brick.
of those big like greenish
Yeah.
blue
Oh, yeah.
Apple thingies
Yeah.
in the.
well, I remember
Computer labs?
we had a compact that ran like Windows 95, and I played Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver on that thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
dude, that was such a good game. I could never make it past a certain level though. Like
I just love the one with where you go into the fishbowl right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
those are underrated games.
I'm sure I was
Wheels.
much better at that than I was this.
Probably yeah.
Yeah, the skill level was the same though to play the two, right?
we should.
I think they were only like you could really only like it was just like the 4 arrow buttons and maybe the space bar
Yeah,
to play that game.
Yep.
yeah. The space bar was like to like launch a rocket or something if you or like.
Yeah, you like if you like jumped or
Yeah, something like that. Make you do like a 360 in the air when you jumped.
Oh, you know what? I lied. My favorite was not the fishbowl. It was the outdoor playground one with the sandcastle.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't think I remember that one.
I don't think I was good enough to get that far.
Well, I think you're doing all right now.
Yeah.
Wait, so are you guys gonna race on the simulator? Are you gonna put yourself on the
So
board?
no, we don't put ourselves on the board because it wouldn't be fair. I'm really good at this game. Not to be cocky, I live with the thing. I own it. So
It's actually his bed. Race car bed taken to a new level.
Yeah, basically.
well, so like for instance, at one point, like when I was into it, when I first bought it, I got extremely into it, and it, like online you get ranked.
Okay.
And I was the fastest person in Minnesota.
Oh,
in the game.
that's
So,
pretty
like,
competitive.
Yeah, but
So when you say really into it, like, what do we mean?
I mean it'd be like 6 hours at a time sitting in that seat. And
A puddle of sweat.
not getting up. But yeah, that's the problem with that thing too. I'm pretty sure I lost some like weight, like real
Yeah.
weight on that, and it's in there now. Like it's part of me.
Gosh.
My DNA is in that seat. It smelled. Oh God, you remember picking that thing up over there? Yeah, I picked it up off Craigslist, and the dude kept it in his garage, which I could have assumed.
Okay.
Like it makes sense, and I think I saved the seat. I'll tell you why I saved the seat in a second. But this dude smoked like at least 30 packs of cigarettes every day.
A day?
It had to have been because that seat smelled so bad. My whole house, my parents' house, stank for like 2 months before I could get the smell out of it. It was terrible. It was god awful. But I
Okay.
saved the seat because he was going to put it into, unfortunately for you, a Mustang.
Oh. Do we want to address that?
What kind of car do you have?
Okay, hold on. Let me give my defense
Yep.
for owning this
Yep.
car first. So in 2018, started my full-time job, right? Living in Maple Grove, commuting to Richfield every day.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you've got like 4 options. You can take 94 to 35 South, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the best option right there. You've got 100, you got 169, and you've got 494. And really, 100 and 169 still lead you to 494 for some portion of it, or 62. That's fine. Either of the crosstowns. But you can take 94 to 35 South, and it is the absolute fastest. That could be to work in 30 minutes flat every day. Okay. That's all great. And then MnDOT decided, you know what? Fuck you. We're closing that exit for 4 years. Not 6 months, not 1 season, 4 years. 4 whole years.
For what?
That 35W whatever they're doing. Do you want to know what's there? A giant pile of concrete. They just must have been like, this exit, we're going to close it. We're going to stick all the concrete that we tear up right there.
Right there.
Right fucking there.
That's the spot.
Yeah, and so it's been closed. So then I was like, shit. Before the end of the world pandemic and all of that, 494 was like on a good day, 35 minutes. Bad day, 90 minutes to go 30 miles. And so I was like, okay, I've got this Mountaineer that I drive. It gets, it's got 250,000 miles on it. It gets a whopping 17 miles to the gallon. And so I was like, it's an '09. It's not like a giant pile, but I'm the third owner. It was owned by like two suburban families. It's been through the ringer. Like, bought it at 180,000 miles. And so I was like, okay, I need something that's like a little bit more fuel efficient, more comfortable, has like a bit newer stuff in there. I was like, all right, this is what I can afford. Like, I'm just going to do it. So I start looking, and I was, had no intention about going out and like getting a Mustang, but I stumble upon this little beauty of a 2016 EcoBoost Premium. Yeah, so we're rocking the 4-cylinder with the turbo.
Beauty. Yeah. That might actually be my favorite part about that car.
Yeah,
it's like all of it. That's my favorite part. It's not obtuse. It's it's petite.
It's petite. It's fancy. I like to tell people it's European.
It is.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I stumble on it. And it's sitting at this Chrysler Dodge dealership. The guy who owned it before me was an EMT, and he decided, you know what, maybe I should get a car that's not a death trap in the winter.
Right.
So he gets a Durango Sport instead. He trades that in there. But it's sitting there, and it had been there for a while, and the price just kept going down, and the guy was like, it's going to auction next week. So I was like, all right, I'm going to come out, I'm going to drive it. And I was like, all right, I'm sold. Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, at 23 years old, I was like, what do I do? Like, I get it now, and I drive it for however long until I got to get rid of it, or I wait till I'm like 60 to do this. And so I was like, fuck it. Like, let's just let's enjoy it. Like, so I bought that, and I will say, other than like that, it's the with the turbo. Like, what I really like is it's got 2 matte black racing stripes, which I don't think you can actually get from Ford. Really? I'm pretty sure the dude custom did it. So, fun fact, people know about Mason, right? Like, yeah. So, Jeremy's, he's your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, right? And so he does all the work on it. And so recently, like, my plasti dip was on the wheels, because they were all plastied, was peeling off. And I was like, okay, so they're definitely not just like matte, or they're not matte black rims, like, and it's because it was peeling. So I bring it to him, and he's like, man, this guy only has like 2 layers on here. You did like a shit job of putting it on. And I was like, whatever, just like, get them fixed or whatever. So after that, I start looking around. I was like, can I find another copy of this car anywhere? And like, for the life of me, cannot do it. So at this point, I'm just like, the guy had to have just like gotten this done himself. So that's like another one of like the little fun things about
cool.
it.
It's like one of one.
Yeah. Which was like, I don't know. That's even Mason was just like, it's the body style and the paint job that saved this car from being. That might not be the direct quote, but I understand. It's fair. It's a fair assessment.
I don't like to admit it, but when you let me drive it that one time, I enjoyed it in a way that is extremely disappointing to me. Like, that thing is so fun. Like, it's just a fun car.
It weighs nothing, so it's like if you put it in, like, it's weird. What's really weird about those is there's a transmission mode, and then there's what has to be. I don't know if it's just like you can change the steering, the transmission, and then what must just be how like the car's computer allows you to accelerate. I don't quite understand it, and there's not really good documentation out there that explains it. But so if you put it in sport mode there, and then you put it in the racetrack mode, it'll let the turbo put out like over 20 pounds of boost, and the car only weighs like less than 2,500 pounds, and so it just fucking goes.
Yeah.
So like
I remember asking you, can I do a burnout?
Yeah, and you were like, I was like, yeah, and you're
okay.
like, for real? And I was like, yeah, man, just burn it up.
Let it rip, dude.
It was cool. It was good.
Yeah, TJ used to drive that. My brother-in-law used to drive that GTI that Mason built with like, that insane turbo on it, and like I fucking would whip him off of like I by chance ran into him on a road one day, and I was like, we'll take off from every stoplight together, and just whipped him every time.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, hell no. Dang it. No. No.
Again, I don't blame you. That's the correct reaction.
It's unfortunate. I mean, maybe he let you win. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
It could maybe.
Yeah.
He's nice like that. He would probably let me do that.
Yeah, he is. That's true.
So you said you're doing some editing?
Yeah.
What got you? Why are you doing that, or how are you doing?
Yeah, so turns out with drones, people really like this idea, and DJI is sort of to blame for this. I don't know if you guys ever, DJI is right, they make the Phantoms, the Mavics, those are the ones that everyone knows about, those are the ones people buy. And they really are that easy to use. It's like you don't really need to read anything other than their quick start guide to really, if you really just need to get up in the air and fly it around. You can do it. Anybody can do it. It's not hard. And that's a quadcopter. And the nice thing about quadcopters is because they're so stable, because they have like those 4 motors, like, you know, flying around, this ultra stable, really easy, really intuitive to fly. So when you fly a fixed wing's not quite as easy. And the difficult comes into not the actual flying of the plane back and forth, but it's the up and down. So a quadcopter, you get like the luxury of going straight up and straight down because you can hover.
Yep.
So an airplane, right? You know, not everyone, but most people have ridden in an airplane. You gotta take off on a runway and you gotta land on a runway.
Yep.
Okay, so that's why you have a pilot. Like, you know, pull behind the curtain. I'm sure someone will come after me for this, but the reality of it is when you're on a commercial flight, the pilots really aren't doing anything. The autopilot's just flying. Like, the fact that they really take off and land doesn't even need to be. The person's just there just in case, anyways. There's triple redundant computers on them. They're just there to make sure nothing bad actually happens, or you know, maybe they need to actually do something. So, anyways, fixed wing. You know, not everyone is a commercial pilot, so knowing how to take off and how to land ends up being a bit more. And then there's some other things like, you know, with the quadcopter, the wind doesn't really matter, but with the fixed wing, you can use the wind to your advantage to save on flight efficiency and battery time. So I'm really going without this is there's some fine details people really need to know about how to operate these systems. And the best way to do it, the way people like it, are YouTube videos, right?
Yep.
If you're going to go learn how to do something, the first thing you're probably going to do is Google it. And the first thing Google's going to spit out at you is YouTube. And that's really what you want to do. That's what people, if you're not even, you know, if you're going to Google first before your YouTube, you're probably actually making a mistake on a how-to. And then you're going to skip the first, you know, 10% of that video because it's just some guy rambling because it's what YouTube.
Subscribe to my video. Yeah.
Well, YouTube incentivizes having a longer video, don't they? Like there's some part of that where it's like if you have a certain length, you have your monetization works better.
Anywhere from like 7 to 9 minutes, they prioritize, and then they just came out with like Google and YouTube are obviously working together, and they just came out with basically what you're saying, and so when people type in a how-to in Google. Google will pull that video up or that how-to video in the research results, and now we'll start to lean toward that section of the video where it's actually telling you what it is,
right?
Versus the first 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
so I think that's pretty neat.
It is, yeah, and it's super useful, which is like, and so I get both sides of that argument, but so anyways, where I'm going with this is like, it's really expensive to send someone to train for a day. And honestly, a day is not enough time to train a person because you can spend a day in class and then you need to go to the field. And you can do both in one day. You can do like 4 hours in classroom showing them how to do all this stuff, teaching them about the system. You can spend 4 hours out in the field actually doing it. And you kind of need both to be successful. But the problem is you spend 4 hours in the morning. You start at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And you spend 4 hours melting people's brains because the people who are using this are well out of high school or college. And so they're past, like, they don't have that in their head anymore. They're not in that mode. They're not, I'm going to sit down in the classroom and be ready to learn. And so by the time you get up you eat lunch and then you go to the field, and then, people have got, they're digesting, there's blood in their stomach, like they're just, their brain's just not all there. And you go to the field and then it's just not as effective towards the last half of the day because they're burnt out. Like, that's not what they're used to. So the solution here, the long answer to this is you make videos,
right? And
you make these videos accessible to them, put it in their pocket. Almost everyone has a cell phone. And I would say most places, you're either in an office, you can pull it up on your laptop, or if you're lucky, you're in the field, you have service, you can pull it up on your phone. You can do it right then and there. And so a lot of this was like, okay, how to make these videos. And, we're a small company, kind of like what I talked about earlier. It puts it back in the hands of the engineers, the people who are actually developing these products, the people who know them. They got to make these videos. So now here I am. I spend probably, depending on what part of the season it is, just making these videos because it's like I want customers to be successful. I want them to do these things, and I would much rather they don't call me to learn how to do this. Like,
or like the simple how-tos. Like, this is what we're using the videos for. You're just educating people on their time, and it's more effective that way anyways.
And honestly, I think that's what they'd rather do. I think they would rather just pull out their phone, go to YouTube, and
Right.
hear me talk about it rather than actually just call me and spend time doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
no one wants to get up and leave the house to sit in the classroom.
Nobody wants the pleasantries. I feel like I don't want to like, hi, how are you doing? Good, how are you? And then like oh,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like,
And it's not that people want to avoid this like customer service or like customer relationship. That's not it at all. It's really just, you know, that's what I would want to do if I was trying to learn how to use these things. I just want to watch a 5-minute YouTube. If I pull up a list of YouTube videos on how-tos, the 5-minute one is the one I'm always going to go to.
Yep.
I'm never going to go to the 15-minute one, and I'm never going to go to the 45-second one.
'Cause it really shouldn't take someone 15 minutes to describe what you're looking for.
and you
usually.
shouldn't
Right.
trust the person with 45 seconds.
Yes, exactly. Totally. So, and so anyways, like I did the first one and I was like, all right, I just need like, finally, I told my IT guy, I was like, just find me the oldest Mac you have, give me that, and I'll just iMovie my way through it. So I started there, and like, while iMovie is fine enough when you're first starting out, like I quickly learned, I was like, this is cool, except for I can't crop video and I can't do picture-in-picture the way I want to do it. There's just not enough. And I think Apple does it on purpose. You don't have enough of the tools that you want to actually like make something useful. And so I was like, all right, like $300 for Final Cut. Like I can get that approved. Like did that, started learning it. And so it's just been over the last like probably year, maybe year and a half, I've been learning how to do that. And it's like, I really actually do enjoy it. I like full-time, maybe. Like I have an appreciation for the art now. Like, you know, what people are doing with actual video. Like, and when it's crazy how much more I pay attention now. Like when I watch movies, when I watch other things, like I'm like, oh, that's how they did that. That's how they did that. That's a dolly shot. That's, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, you just get way more of appreciation of like how people are actually like doing this.
I know whenever I watch videos now with my girlfriend or I watch movies, I'm like, I don't even care about the story sometimes anymore. Like I'm just like, oh, dude, how did they make that? How did they get that shot? Like,
Right.
What are they doing? And there's a movie called I think it's 1917 or something, one of the war movies.
Yeah.
And they did that on continuous takes, and like I believe a couple continuous takes.
Yeah.
But I probably watched like an hour of how they went through that and how they shot it. Because I remember like watching the movie and my mind was like blown. I'm like, how are they not putting down the camera or like changing the scene? Like this
Definitely.
is nuts. And I remember picking out like two spots. Like this is where they're changing scenes. Like this is when they're putting the camera down. And she's like, what are you talking about?
There was an edit right there.
They're editing it right now. They're stopped. They're done. But yeah, stuff like that. I hear you on these, you know, different view.
Yeah.
A new view of things.
Oh. This is okay. See, this is actually, you know what? Do you want to know why I hate the name?
Yeah.
It's not because it's new view. It's because it's like when it comes out of your mouth, it just like a lot of people are like, wait, what did you just say? Like it's not like there's not like hard consonants in there. It's just like like it's just very new view. It's very smooth. Everything's very soft. Like it's hard to like enunciate. And actually, do you guys remember taking what do they call it? You take it in 6th grade. It's like the computer class. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You remember when you have to like design the business cards?
No.
No. Okay. So there's a part where you have to come up with your own business. And you got to design these business cards, and it's really just like a graphic design, if you will, like project. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was New View Automobile and Aircraft Design, and
Ayo.
that's where it comes from.
Wow.
Really?
It's got some history. Yeah.
Who is
Kyle wanted to call it pooping in a bush, and I said maybe not that.
Kyle, what were you thinking, dude?
And you guys both knew him before I did. Like,
I can see him just like,
You're welcome.
what's your thoughts on this? Pooping in a bush. I think we should just go with that.
Like that was a serious suggestion. You guys are all sitting down. All right,
Yeah,
we need
100%.
a name.
Everyone put the names in the hat. We'll pull it. Who did this? Oh, that's funny.
hindsight, it might have been a better name.
Who taught that class?
Miss Aaron's.
Yes.
Yeah.
She'd sit in that like weird little cutout in the wall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There was like the little like hole in the wall.
Yeah. You walk in there and you're like, is she here?
Is she
Like,
here?
I remember in that class we did like how fast you can type.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
The
remember,
quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
you go, oh, here we go. I remember sitting next to, I think her name was Alexis, and she was just like, And I'm like, dude, what? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's like the test where you have to like type that, and it's like
Yeah.
someone's holding paper over your hands, and you're like, this is impossible. Why would I ever do this? Like,
Why would you be?
the only cases it's applicable is if I get stabbed in both my eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I put paper over my hands all the time when I'm on the computer.
I just cover my hands in Post-it notes, and I just type away.
That's where the Post-it notes are supposed to go.
Some of
the
the
actual
training
use.
methods.
Oh.
So you brought
Wait,
some,
hold on. So you guys got to ask me why I got into like video editing and all of that, and I do it like I'm not even gonna say professionally. I do it as just a part of my job. Mm-hmm. How did you guys get into this specifically? I mean, I've seen some of the videos. I mean, you're like, I think the video I saw was you sitting there with a Steadicam strapped to your chest in the back of a van.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain how you got started first, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah. Okay. So I started doing YouTube videos just because I was like, that looks cool, and I think I could do it. Like, I feel like I'm fortunate enough sometimes, like looking back now, it's hard to make videos like consistently where it's like interesting content. But back then I was like, dude, I do a lot of like weird stuff. So why don't I just start making YouTube videos and it'll be fun? And like, then I was like, oh, you can make money doing this. and so far it hasn't like gotten to that point. I mean, hopefully someday, but that's kind of where I was at. And then I started doing it and I was like, oh, I actually really like doing this. So, I mean, like for a solid year and a half, I was like, that's the PS4 shot.
If you can't hear that on the camera, there's like shit moving behind me.
It's a ghost.
It's a transformer, dude.
Optimus Prime is over there jacking off.
That's all. Anyway.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then I realized I was like, this is actually really enjoyable, and I started to get into it, but I liked like the style of like less is more. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
very Casey Neistat-esque, where it was like, I'm just cutting and I'm using what I can. And then like Peter McKinnon, I found him and I was like, whoa, you can like make transitions and stuff by moving the camera and stuff. And then I tried doing that and it just looked like crap. So I was like, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. And I stuck with that. And apparently that doesn't work.
Peter McKinnon, I think, is like, he's like a famous like videographer guy, right?
Yeah.
I think he did a bunch of stuff with Tom DeLonge and Angels and Airwaves pretty recently. That's just like my little like nerd realm of like,
yeah, Alien Boy.
Alien Boy. Hey man, like Joe Rogan shit all over that guy. And like, here we are, like, you know, 18 months later, or however long that episode was, and like Joe Rogan's not talking about fucking aliens, and it's like, hey man, do you not remember when Tom DeLonge was here talking about this shit? Anyways, so.
But yeah, and then so I started doing that, and me and Zach would sit down at the Caribou in town because we were like, we're gonna work, and then because their Wi-Fi was good up in the middle of nowhere where we lived, and that's where we would start. And I remember he started doing he started an Instagram account that he was serious about and some other things that he took fairly far. You could talk about that. And then eventually he started doing videos too. And you met some people that allowed you to do more in depth than I was going.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like sprouted to what he's doing now. So
Nice.
Well, I guess it's my turn.
yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of the segue there, the way I did it. Yeah. Do you ever watch Star Talk?
No.
No? With Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No, Neil deGrasse Tyson is very polarizing, and as a guy who's like a sciencey dude with an astrophysics like sort of background, I don't really tell people that because one, I don't even have a piece of paper that says that, other than like if you call the U of M and be like, does this guy have this minor? They'd be like, yeah, he does. Like,
right.
It's not anywhere. It's not on my degree. Like, I'm the only person who gives a shit about that. Neil deGrasse Tyson is just, it's sort of the same thing with Bill Nye. Like, Bill Nye, like, has good intentions. He's just such a dick about it because he's been treated so poorly on, like, national media. And that's why he, like, is such a dickhead about it. Like, he had that Netflix series, Bill Nye Saves the World. Mm-hmm. I watched the first episode. One, he brings in Zach Braff. Zach Braff, great comedic actor, kind of a dick.
Yep.
But he like brings them in, and Bill Nye's just such a fucking asshole the entire time because he treated the people he brought on because he brought people who had opposing views to him. And I think the first episode is on climate change, which is his whole like thing is like the Earth's on fire. Yes, sure, great.
Should we save this for later?
Did you want me to say my?
He's going up. Let him go.
This is what I was telling him. I was like, I got stuff. We can do it.
Dude,
Like
I was
someday
like-
we'll have a second episode. I guess.
sucked in, like I'm feeling myself leaving.
But he's the problem is
Recording?
Yeah, we are.
but
Yeah.
Bill Nye's just such an asshole about it. Like it's like, dude, you have such a way to just show that these people that you're talking to are such dicks to you about it, and instead of like blatantly showing, yes, these guys are treating me like they're assholes, he just decides to be like, he just 180s and he's like, I'm gonna be the dick this time. Fuck you guys. Like,
Yeah, that's not the way to go about it.
and it's just and it was just like I was like, I'm so turned off on this. I was just like, dude, like you had like, and a lot of people will shut on him. He's like, oh, he's just like a mechanical engineer, and it's like that's not the point here. But anyways,
Anyway,
this is not
the point.
this is not
Cooling
comedy
down.
or a peer
I'm gonna
review.
put a little bar above your head, cooling down.
I still like this idea. We Jarvis him up, and that effect cannot be hard, right? That's just got to be like a.
There's a tutorial on YouTube to do exactly
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
So you mentioned Tom DeLonge.
Hold on. We didn't give Zach a chance to tell us how he got into the video.
Oh yeah,
we tried
This
to
is what we
segue.
want. Yeah, don't
Say-
now. We'll
talk
That's
about
what
it.
I'm trying to bring
Get
up.
words out. I want to talk about aliens.
we'll talk about aliens after this.
Yeah, jeez. I was like, when are we gonna transition this? Yeah, so I got started when into the whole video realm of things, really with GoPros and
Sure.
growing up in the country doing fishing and hunting. I like doing those kind of videos, and one of my buddies' sister was getting married, and he's like, can you shoot their wedding? And I thought he was crazy. I'm like, dude, I shoot videos of fish. Like, it's not, this is a whole different story. Like,
She's a lot prettier than a fish.
put me back in the water.
You and me going fishing in the dark.
But so I was like, dude, you're okay. I'll do it. Let's do it up. And first wedding, shot it. You know, when I look back at it now, because now I'm doing more weddings, and like I looked back at it not too long ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. They loved it. They cried. It was an amazing film. And so I remember setting up and starting to do video and take B-roll shots at the venue, and the lady that was setting up like the flowers and all that stuff, she's like, so do you do this full time, or, you know, we're just making small talk? And I was like, no, I'm actually a correctional officer. Like, this is not what I do. And she's like, what? She's like, you could totally do this as like full time. I'm like, maybe I could. And like, it just, that someone's bringing it up, and it struck me. I was like, maybe I could. And I, you know, being around the right people had a huge part of it. Being with Jeremy, we both had that mindset of like, dude, we could do whatever the heck we want as long as we'd stick to it. And so we kind of did. And and later I met people where I was working that got into doing videos. We did like real estate videos and like
Nice.
workout videos, and some of them were terrible, some of them were funny. Like we did vlogs, you know, like just all kinds of stuff to get into that. And I also took on, dude, I feel like we tried doing everything.
Yeah,
Just-
like if you go to my YouTube channel, there's a lot of
I used to
things.
watch your vlog every week, and I was just like, the amount of just different shit he is doing and
Dude.
going out there, that was just like, I was like, you can always count on the car rolling out of the garage, and you can always count on some insane adventure I don't understand.
some consistencies, and you're like, what?
We're gonna see
Okay,
Rigsby in there.
I'm not sure about this lawnmower. I don't is he alive still. I don't.
But I think it's just like the variety of doing all that stuff that you'll eventually find what you like. That's what's nice about doing that. And I started like 22 Instagram pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit, 22?
Yeah, I have a page.
So like when you open your app and you like hold down
they
in
only
the
let
corner,
you do 5.
they don't let you do 5.
You can only
okay.
be logged in at
I was
5.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yep.
I've got 2. I've got mine. I've got
You
the
have
new view
10
one, but like
billion likes.
Yeah, I actually have a notebook with like all my usernames and all my passwords, because like you can't even come close to remembering all that unless you want to do the same password for every single one. But even the usernames. But
yeah.
I There was one like
underscore sex hunter 6969 underscore X.
dot, right? It's basically kind of what it was, and because it just had like all these ideas started coming up, watching too much Gary Vee, and like you can do whatever you want, man. Like start this page, start that page, start this page, and yeah, I was off on a rampant, dude. But I ended up sticking to one called Wolf of Business, and I ended up growing that. I think that I'm at like 319,000. I think right now.
Wow. Damn.
I haven't posted recently, but I just wanted to take a break from it. Just too much. Like I have too many pages that would constantly steal my time, and actually took away from doing other work that I wanted to be doing, such as video and editing and running that business.
Sure.
So I put it aside for, I think this is my second month, and I think I'm ready to come back with actually like more valuable stuff, because what ended up happening on the whole Instagram trend was like a lot of bullshit. Like a lot of just fucking do this, like a certain type of content that was just flooding the whole Instagram page, and I want to come back and actually give someone like real value, something that everyone can do, all the way down from like your taxes to simple stuff like what I use, and just kind of bring it down back to reality and bring my engagement back up instead of stupid pictures and motivational.
You can have biceps like these if you fucking drink milk.
It's a good view to have, though. I recently had this like realization. As I was looking through like a bunch of social media things, and like with election season and all that, I was just like, so much of this is not actual content. This is just like things you can push a button on.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the part I don't like about it. I was like, the rest of it I get, because it's like it gives you a way to like push this out, but like so much of this content, like you like mostly just like they're like, here's your suggested content. Like I was even just looking at this today as I'm sitting there, and it was like, Instagram has moved to that, like once you get to, you've seen all the posts, they show you like other posts you might be interested in, and you look at it and it's just like tons of stuff that's just all clickbait shit. And I was just like, why is this what you're showing? And I just like, I get it. Yeah.
I mean, it's all down to the algorithm and stuff, but I'm tired of it. There's one other page that I follow that we started kind of at the same time, and it was kind of fun because we had I had like 5,000 followers. He was at 6, and I was like, dude, I gotta beat him. And I would get like 7,500, and he'd be like 7,000. Like, I got this dude, and it was like a race all the way up. But the only difference between me and him was I was posting content that was like viral content. And he was posting content that was super valuable, that was going viral because it was so valuable. People were saving it, and they're like reading it, and like they could implement it in their own life. And I was like, dude, I did it all wrong. Even though I grew the page up great and it was fun, and it's like a powerhouse basically in the Instagram niche or whatever. But I want to go backtrack and do it a little differently. So
nice.
Yeah.
Can we talk about aliens now?
Yeah, we can talk about aliens now.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
First question. Do you believe? This is an easy one.
Do I believe in aliens? All right. So there are mathematicians and other space folk that will disagree, but I feel that it is statistically impossible in this ever-expanding universe that there is not outside life. And I think there are also a lot of, if we want to go into the full realm of it, there's, unidentified aerial phenomena. It's UAP, not UFO anymore. There's probably
those.
There's what? Yeah, UAVs. Not UAVs. But they do some pretty weird shit. I would say there's probably a better chance than not, and I think a lot of people would not stand by that statement. And it's there in the world. I get both sides of the argument. It's like statistically, or just in like the realm of logical thought, right? It's like in an infinite universe, right? If you look at infinite possibilities in that sense, then yes, there has to be.
There's got to be like another
intelligent life form somewhere. Are they within reachable distance? Maybe, maybe not. If you look at the world, and so then there's the other side of the argument where, no, there's not. We're the only ones. Like, we got lucky. Maybe we're the outlier on that. It could be possible, or it's just it exists and it's just not ever. There will never be contact.
Do you think there'll be contact though? I mean, like with what just happened in that media release of like the Pentagon
Yeah,
or whatever,
saying
saying that.
that
Yeah, so
found
what
cracks.
we're talking about there is ATIP, right? And
Right.
so a lot of this I know because I am like a diehard Tom DeLonge fanboy.
Right. Yeah.
That guy is like, if I could meet one dude and like, I don't think I ever want to meet him because they said I don't meet your heroes, and I kind of get that because it's just like I don't want to meet this dude, like he's just has like a high standard in my brain.
Yep.
Uh,
Don't want to ruin that.
right. I don't want to like meet the guy and just find out like something weird about it. Like I don't think that's the case, but anyways, it's like with ATIP and all this stuff. The good argument against it is like, okay, everyone's got a smartphone. Why aren't we seeing this? What To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge, his company, To the Stars Academy, what they bring up is, okay, the reason you don't see this, and I think it's, not probably, it has value, or not value. I totally understand the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
None of these departments are sharing information, at least on UFOs. There was only ever one department, and one person's only going to miss so many things, but you've got all these agencies that like aggregate this stuff, but no one is putting it in one spot. Right. And so they've got this program. I've read a little bit about it. They call it the Vault, and the idea is that they will aggregate all of this data and allow people to upload these videos and all that, where you can see it all in one spot. And so that's how a lot of like scientific stuff moves. Is the more data you have, the more information, right? Same thing, more data, more information.
Yep.
The more you can synthesize from that, the more you can understand. And so if it's scattered throughout all these other places and you can't see them all at once, you only get a little bit of the story. You don't see the whole thing. A way to put that in the scientific world is called the Nyquist limit. And Nyquist limit talks about frequency. So if you have data that's coming in at some frequency, we'll call it, 200 times a second, but you only sample that data at 20 times a second, you miss a lot of data between where you're sampling, right? There's a lot more information that you're not seeing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is sort of the idea here. So if you don't see all of it at once, or you don't see all the data that's available, you don't actually see the full picture.
Right. Man.
I haven't thought about it like that. That's crazy.
And so that's the idea, is that like, with all these people who have smartphones in their pockets, yeah, that's cool, but
You're only going to get so much.
right.
Anyway.
Everything you post to Instagram doesn't always go to Facebook. Everything you post to Facebook doesn't always go to Twitter. Everything you post to Twitter doesn't always go to YouTube, right? So you've got, there's just 4 major platforms that you could post this stuff on. We're not even talking about all the different forums for these, UAP folks. So the possibility, yeah, it's totally in the realm of possibility. Is it totally in the realm of not being true? It's, without anybody aggregating any of this, you can't make any informed decision at this point. It really is just really on a razor thin margin of true, not true. So that's kind of where it's at.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well, that was the most educated thing,
Right.
like
Yes.
educational way or like sophisticated way anybody said that so far in this podcast.
Yeah,
so
that's probably the
that
best way I've
will
ever heard
be.
it,
You
so.
have set the bar for alien talk.
Yeah.
I'm glad to come back to talk about more aliens.
Yeah,
I'm just really trying to find myself another invite for this.
well, you definitely have a second invite.
Yes.
For sure.
So that was fantastic. Thank you for coming on this episode.
Yes,
Appreciate
I
you.
love podcasting. I love doing this. So anytime you guys are like, we don't have anybody this week, I'll be here. We'll talk about bullshit. I'll get on the racing simulator. We'll do it blindfolded.
Cover your hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah, we'll cover my hands in
You have to
sticky
hold it
notes.
backwards like this.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Later.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Till next time.
Cool.
That was a dope episode. Good shoot, guys.